I was born to a 17-year-old mom with a 9th grade education. At 17, I was her second child. She married my dad when she was just 16 years old. Yes, out of love, but also to escape her home life. And that was because my grandmother, her mother, was then a prostitute who later ran her own brothel. I can hardly imagine how desperately my mother must have fought to get out of that life. There was an unspeakableness about money in my family, a well-kept secret where we believed that we were poor and that this was the only way. Having a member of the family in the oldest profession has been at the root of shame surrounding money in my family for generations. In my early life, thoughts of accruing wealth were utterly inconceivable. Growing up poor is a common reason many people hold on to limiting beliefs surrounding money for an entire lifetime. A momentary crisis, like the one we are now having with the global pandemic, also has the potential to create false beliefs of perpetual deprivation and diminished self-confidence. Possessing conscious awareness around how you truly feel about your personal finances, the financial health of your community, and of our nation is of vital importance. This is because money, like all things in existence, is energy at its core. When we embody fear, when we hold on to limiting beliefs or hold on to painful feelings about money, we express an energetic dissonance and do not attract the higher frequency possibilities that provide us with plentiful resources. At this moment, there is a choice to be made that will decide the fate of future generations. We can either continue to hold on, or we can elevate our perspectives toward our greatness, an unwavering self-confidence, and a prosperous self-worth. Have you ever considered money to be a form of energy? The energy that powers our financial system, perhaps. A unique energy in that we associate having money with having power, whereby in the absence of money, we feel disempowered. And what is energy exactly? Energy is the strength and vitality required to do work. It is the power derived from the utilization of our physical or chemical resources. By definition, could our money be a form of energy too? Our money is created of physical matter and thereby possesses energy, or frequency, if you will. One of the most basic tenets of energy that we've come to understand comes from the first law of thermodynamics. It is the law of conservation of energy, and stated in simple terms, conveys that energy is not created nor destroyed, but changes state. Essentially, energy is transformed. This law of energy not only applies to electricity and other forms of matter, it applies to us as human beings in a very fundamental way. We have been taught through our formal education about energy and how it is applied and measured in our physical world. What we haven't learned well is about the energy that is us. Some will refer to this energy of us as the soul or spirit, perhaps not realizing that it too obeys the same universal law of conservation. And sometimes what is in need of transformation when it comes to our money are our beliefs, our feelings, and our language about money. This observation came to me after my conscious awakening from a place of heightened awareness. Imagine now that we are more than a physical body, that we are infinitely more, and that reality is a concept far beyond our shared world. And what if this conscious energy applies to all things in existence, including our money? Our relationship with money is often deeply entangled in our belief systems, our cultures, and religions. And we also live our lives in a rather estranged relationship with money, because as a collective, we have been conditioned to believe that money is scarce or hard to come by. We are led to believe that we are not worthy enough or good enough in some way to receive all the money that we require. And at times, we will even feel embody fear surrounding money, or feel greedy for wanting more. My earliest memories as a little girl were of my parents fighting and our family living in desperate conditions. I was still in diapers and not more than 2 years old when my parents divorced. Thereafter, I rarely saw my own mother, who was barely more than a teenager herself. You see, we had very little, not much at all, living in low-income housing, surviving with the help of government rations. On the surface, my early life appears typical in a sense, growing up poor and on welfare. But what lies beneath is more nuanced or more entangled, if you will. When my parents divorced, I was forbidden to see my maternal grandmother. But there were times when my mom would have my brothers and I alone that she would sneak us to see our grandmother at her home brothel. I remember having an uncomfortable feeling inside. I had this disgusted feeling in the pit of my stomach. There were pornographic cartoons playing on the television, and we would be served up bowls of ice cream. It was all very confusing, but one thing that I do remember is how I felt. What I didn't know at the time was the gravity of the energy I was embodying related to my own self-worth in those moments. I don't think anyone in my family had a clue as to the consequences of holding on to this disgraced energy. My teenage mother was unfit to care for her children. My brothers and I were often neglected when in her care. For 19 years, I did not see nor hear from my mother, and I judged her very harshly for not being there. I already knew what it felt like to be left alone, to be without enough to eat, to be unclean, with lice growing in my hair, before starting kindergarten. From very early on, I carried within me the energy of deprivation. I have come to understand that all the experience in our lives are designed to teach us something, no matter how unpalatable the lesson. Even if my mind did not want to remember, my soul conscience never forgot. Your financial net worth mirrors your inner self-worth. I embody the energy of revulsion, of secrecy, of shame, and never enoughness when it came to money. I learned that this energy, it could not just be forgotten or go away, that I couldn't just get rid of it. I now understand that the energy that is me must also obey the same universal law of transformation. It had to be transformed. Transforming dense energy is an introspective process. The release of the heavy energy that is holding you back comes only from within. It is an intensely personal process that is deeply felt, and it cannot be intellectualized. This type of transformation must occur from within. Remember those feelings of revulsion, those feelings of disgust? Those feelings are transformed into gratitude. Yes, I am grateful that I never believed that I had to make disempowered choices in my life in order to survive. And that harsh judgment of my mother was transformed into respect and forgiveness. A respect for the fight of her life, and I forgave her for believing that she could not be there for me. But most importantly, I had to forgive myself for all those years of merciless judgment. You see, transformation begins with forgiving yourself. And that energy of lack, it has finally been transformed into enoughness, into inner happiness, and an abundant self-worth. Your money journey may be different from mine, but if you are existing with fear around money or in a state of lack, that energy of deprivation is the same. We need to aim for higher frequencies of emotions like love and joy and happiness when we think of money, recognizing its infinite nature. There is the secret about our feelings that we have never been told. It is that our feelings are energy too, and that they are indeed meant to be felt. But our heaviest heaviest emotions are also meant to be transformed into higher frequency emotions like joy, love, and happiness. We are meant to feel gratitude and feel fulfilled when we think of money, recognizing its infinite nature, not to feel fear, scarcity, and frustration. Your money story may be different from mine. Perhaps you grew up in financial comfort with more than enough money, but there were secrets never spoken. There was fear around losing money, or perhaps there were even crimes related to how money was earned or spent. The frequency of your feelings matter. If you are holding on to the energy of fear or secrecy around money, there is a place for transformation. We all need to aim for joy, happiness. This is so awesomeness when it comes to our feelings about money to finally achieve our financial abundance. The energy of money is a most powerful and generous force that touches all of our lives. In its infinite nature, it governs how money flows in and out of our lives. It enriches us and teaches us valuable lessons about ourselves and the lives we lead. And the manner in which money shows up for each of us is directly related to our personal relationship with this powerful force. Our relationship with money is an intensely personal and intimate one. And the way that our money flows responds to our truest feelings about it. And it ultimately responds to how worthy we feel within ourselves. The energy of money is about our connections and purpose, our passions, our ideas, and opportunities. Yes, of course, it's also about our physical money, but physical dollars and cents are only one component of this powerful force. The energy of the soul of money wants only to serve you and act in your highest good. As parents, we have the power within us to enact a paradigm shift in how we relate to the energy that is our money. But to do this, we must first identify our own fears and beliefs about money. When we hold the power within us to enact a global paradigm shift in how we relate to the energy that is our money. Know that the journey inward is not an easy one, but it must be taken. And it starts at home. It starts with you. By reclaiming your self-worth, you give your children and their children the opportunity to do the same. You see, because we pass this self-worth on from generation to generation. When you feel really good about money, you are teaching your children and their children that there's nothing to fear about it. And this is how we finally break the cycle of generational poverty, by empowering our children to fearlessly create generational wealth.